Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. we provide you with information from various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, skilled trade professions, training programs, technical programs, career exploration, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Toni Cureton, your host, and today we are with Katie O'Connor, and she is from ISAIC, and that is standing for the Industrial Sewing
and Innovation Center.
Innovation Center. Thank you so much, Katie.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad to have you.
Hey. I will share my screen, and if there's nothing else, I will get started and tell you guys a little bit about our program and what we do here at ISAIC. If anyone has a question, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll be going back and forth, so I'll try to get them as they come. Give me 1 second to pull up my PowerPoint. Okay. So everybody, it's really nice to meet you. I'm Katie O'Connor. I am the Education and Training Manager in the Industrial Sewing Innovation Center, ISAIC Detroit. We are right downtown. We are, if you guys have ever been downtown Detroit, we are on Cass Avenue, right above the Carhart Center. And what we do is we do industrial sewing. We train on industrial sewing in all of the sewing trades, because there really isn't somewhere where you can go specifically to learn industrial sewing, which is typically the things that actual jobs are connected to. So one of the things that I do here is I create training programs for people who are interested in this field. It might be they're interested in cutting, they might be a designer and want to manufacture clothing here, but it all starts with sewing. The more you know about that, the better your product will be in the future. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program here at ISAIC, what we do here, if you're interested, what you can do, where you can go for more information, all that stuff. We do train on industrial sewing, but I wanted to set the stage for why this is so important. A lot of people have heard the term fast fashion. What does that mean? That means you can go to H&M, you can go to Target, you can buy a shirt, you can wear it a couple times and it might start falling apart and go into a landfill. What we need to change is that even being involved in this industry, manufacturing, production, soft goods, it's hugely disruptive to our environment. So knowing that the equivalent about a dumpster truck of textile waste and clothing waste goes into a landfill every second is not where we're trying to go. We have to be sustainable, and we have to focus on the future, which includes being innovative about things like recycling, upcycling, creating better quality products so that things last longer too. So what this slide says is global apparel manufacturing is in need of radical disruption. For more than half a century, fast fashion's primary focus has resulted in widespread practices that are unsustainable, wasteful, and harmful to both the planet and the people who live on it. This is true. The industry, sewing industry in particular, is highly, I want to say, it's not good to the people who are in it typically. It typically tends to be the majority of women, and there are children in other countries that are taken advantage of in this program, in this industry. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make a way for people to achieve livable wages, cross-training, so that people can do more than one thing, or if they're interested in something else, they can move on. But also spread the idea that you don't have to be making fast fashion. You don't have to be putting something in a landfill. The type of apparel production that we do is called either unit of one or small batch manufacturing, which has many challenges associated with it. Typically, what you find is it's actually easier to make 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 something, because then you have 3,000 tries to make it right, make it perfect. When you're doing 50, when you have only a set amount of textile, it's really difficult to make all of those perfect and make it work really well. So one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at everything in a sustainable lens. We actually have a sustainability fellow that stays on staff here with us and keeps us abreast of new developments in this industry, keeps us up to date on new, things like as simple as counting all of our employees' carbon footprints coming to and from work. That counts, and that adds up really fast. So we're trying to make this industry a little bit better for the people in it and the things that are, going along with it. So what historically this industry has been, people call it many things. They call it production, sewn goods manufacturing, soft goods manufacturing. Typically what happens is there's a lot of waste. Things are oftentimes thrown into landfills in other countries without being worn. If you think back to like 70s, 80s, 90s, the big shopping malls where everything is, you know, you have 10 shirts, you have 15 of every shirt, you're not going to sell all those. And then if you need to have a new collection every year, it's just a lot of waste that doesn't need to be made. The best thing you can do is not make something at all if possible. And then the second best thing you can do is make it be aware of what's happening and try to work against that. So what we're doing is we're trying to create livable, prosperous wages. We want technology to empower workers because a lot of people are afraid of, robotics and advanced manufacturing and things like that coming because they think it will take their job. That is not the case. We just have to train differently, and we have to make sure that people are prepared for dealing with robotics and programming and things like that. So we're looking at all of this in an innovative and futuristic lens. This is our factory. So the program that we typically run here is called Fundamentals of Industrial Sewing and Production. This is run in about 8 states across the United States. We do license our curriculum so that we can get other places set up and training on the same thing, because there are a lot of jobs for industrial sewers. And that's typically what you see, like if you go on jobs.com, Indeed, what have you, people aren't looking for just sewers. They're looking for people who have heavy duty industrial experience. So what we teach on in our program is we teach on high powered industrial jukies. They can go about 6,000 stitches a minute. We also teach on sergers and cover stitch machines, which are 3 of the most popular and common things. Like if you make a t-shirt, you're going to use all 3 of those. So in our course, it's about 192 hours. We actually train people how to go on the floor and prepare them for an actual job as an industrial sewist. So what does that mean? That means we train on textiles. We train on things like, how do you handle different types of knits? Because if you have a t-shirt material, or if you have a polar fleece, those are both technically knits, but you have to handle them completely differently. We also train on what various jobs in factories are and what those jobs look like and how people might do those jobs. And then the cool part about this is our program's actually attached to an apprenticeship program. So we hire exclusively from within our FISAP class. When somebody graduates, as long as they have, satisfactory score and they haven't been throwing something at anybody or any disruptive behaviors, we recommend that you apply for apprenticeship afterwards, and you actually can come to ISAIC, and actually the classroom and ISAIC are right next to each other. So you're already in the factory when you're learning, but you can just go onto the factory floor, and apprenticeship means that you're under the supervision of a journey worker who is an expert sewist. So you're not really thrown to the wolves. You still have that additional year of on-the-job training, which is great, and that comes with paid benefits. That is a full-time position. Which is historically not something that they just want you to be ready to go and, have it basically in your head when you come. So training and creating on-roads to these paths are super important. I will say one of our partners and our most important, obviously we're on top of the Carhartt building. One of our most important partners is Carhartt. A lot of companies have vested interests and want things to come home and want production of their products to come home. About 70% of production left America during the 80s, 70s, and 80s. It's starting to come back, but what people are finding is that the facilities aren't ready. They can't support big orders. They're booked up through, the next 2 years, or they can't find things as simple as machine technicians, pattern makers, graders, all those other things that you need to actually produce. And there's just a wide breadth of education that has to be done. For example, if you're a brand owner, you don't just need to approach with a picture of a t-shirt that you really like. You need to have a pattern, you need to have a graded set, which means it's small, medium, large, extra large. You need to have, a tech pack and all that stuff. So we're also trying to educate people on how to interact with factories and how to actually interact with manufacturing facilities, because that's desperately needed as well. I will say one of the things that we make for Carhartt is we actually make their black beanies. You guys can see them right here. If you guys ever see one of the Carhartt beanies with a little square patch on it, we do make the black ones here. And what we've done, and part of the reason that we're looked at as an innovation center, is because we have proven that it can be done in America. We've developed training around this specialty machine that not a lot of people have. We've made partnerships with other people who are knitting beanies in our country, with the hope that we can model this for other people to move on and say, well, I can go to ISAIC and get the know-how and get the machine resources and stuff like that. And then we can bring back core of the beanie production, because it's really hard to get anything done in this country because so much of the experience and expertise left in the last couple decades. Again, this is our factory. You guys can actually see the beanies. This is them cutting the beanies. Then this is what they look like when they have the tag and everything stitched on it. Our training program that goes into apprenticeship is called ISAIC. It lasts about 192 hours, which here at ISAIC is 6 weeks. You do have to have your high school diploma to apply, but we encourage if somebody's interested in this field or is like, you know, maybe they don't know what they want to do, but they're interested in production. The course is about 200 hours. The apprenticeship is about a year long. It's not so overwhelming that it's going to, you know, affect the rest of your life. And it's kind of a good pause to kind of assess what you want to do and see if this is something you're interested in, if you want to go further. We do give all of our employees career paths and have opportunities for cross training and things like that. But what we want to make sure that people have is the ability to pursue other avenues in this industry, because there's things like cutting, there's things like pattern drafting, there's things like, you know, merchandising and stuff like that. So it all starts with a base knowledge of how your product is made and how to communicate with factories and provide the things that they actually need to produce. So in our program, you learn the 3 most common industrial sewing machines, which are, again, single needle lock stitch, sergers, and cover stitch machines. Those are all the machines you need to make a t-shirt. You do projects throughout the course. It's very, very structured. So you start off sewing on paper, then you go on to sewing on muslin, which is, you know, a thin woven material. And then we make it a little bit harder each time, but you're doing the same processes over and over again so that you're able to interact with challenging materials and, you know, assess, okay, if this is a reverse curve, it's going to act kind of the same regardless of if it's a muslin or, you know, a chiffon, but you have to know how to interact with those textiles. We also cover tech packs, which is desperately needed. Those are the blueprints for products in the fashion industry. It's engineering. A lot of product development is engineering. That's not what a lot of people understand. So being able to draw a blueprint, being able to measure things and provide like a graded pattern chart is super important. We also, like I said, it's connected to apprenticeship. So if you like this and you're like, yes, I want to stay with ISAIC, you can apply. Our production team does all the hiring. They do hire directly out of our ISAIC class. Okay, these are just more pictures of our factories. I'm not going to go too in depth, but I will send out like a brochure or something that you guys can look at after if you're interested. But these are just a couple of our stories. ISAIC is a nonprofit. 2 of the groups that we serve returning citizens and trying to create pathways for returning citizens into gainful employment, as well as people who might be disadvantaged, formerly homeless. We're also working with people who are, you know, sick or disabled too. So what we're trying to do is sewing is extremely inclusive. Almost anybody can be trained to do it. You just have to be tenacious and you have to like not give up. But the idea is if we provide the training, if we provide the on-road, we can start filling some of the jobs that we're seeing in Michigan. And these are all of our partners here at ISAIC. Obviously, Carhartt's one of our big ones, but we're partnering with places like Autodesk, which is an engineering group, which is really exciting. Juki is also one of our partners, and they are well known for their very, very high quality industrial sewing machines that can go extremely fast and do a lot of extremely cool stuff. So it's great to have them on our side. But all this to say is our goal is also to open up this industry and work with places and people and programs that might not be connected normally. So being able to, for example, work with the factory down the street to work with production on them instead of, you know, hiding your resources or being like, no, I can't tell them who my pattern drafter is because that's my trade secret. That has not historically worked. There's not enough, you know, factories to have that kind of competition. So what we're trying to do is bring everybody together and, you know, build an ecosystem, because that's really what's needed, is just being able to say, no, okay, if you have a great t-shirt idea, that's great, but I know exactly who to send you to who can do your product development work, who's, you know, we know they're a quality person, because that's also another thing is so much of this has gone overseas or has gone to other countries that there are people doing product development work, but they're few and far between to find. So you really have to find somebody that has a strong grasp of engineering, pattern development, things like that. But being able to work together has been really, really exciting. And just being able to send our graduates to places in Michigan is also really great, because it's nice to see everybody kind of move on and move out and kind of grow, you know, the sewing tree. So that is our website too. Feel free to look at the website. I'm going to stop screen sharing for you guys here. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer about either production, manufacturing, our program?
Katie, I want to start questions with, can this be a career path that leads to like furniture upholstery or production?
Oh, yes. And actually, Michigan is, that's a great question. Michigan is actually really strong in the furniture and upholstery. One of the things that I do here at ISAIC every month just to track is I get all the online jobs and pull them and see, you know, which categories are hiring. It's usually automotive, and especially on the west side of the state, there's a ton of upholstery furniture, and that is good money. That's more of the high wages too. So if you have a little bit of experience with, like, you know, other heavy duty things like staple guns, that's helpful too, a little bit of pattern drafting experience. But what we're seeing is a lot of these places are willing to train because their team is getting of the age where they're retiring, the expertise is leaving, and there's really no, you know, official training programs for some of the specialty stuff, like for example, boat covers. Michigan has a ton of boat covers and sails and, you know, specific water related activities, but there's no training program for learning how to sew scuba suits or, you know, make sure that a boat cover fits right the first time. So more and more of these places are looking inwards to try to train new people and are willing to train new people, which is also really great.
Good deal. Also, the 6-week training program, is there a cost to that? And if so, do you accept FAFSA financial aid for payment of the tuition training?
That's a great question. Yes. So there is a cost associated with the course. We don't accept FAFSA, but if you go through Michigan Works, a lot of the time it will be funded if you're interested in going to apprenticeship afterwards. So
Okay.
There's multiple avenues for funding. The tuition is about $3,500 for the whole course. We are very fortunate that occasionally we have a lot of private funders who also give us, you know, opportunities to pay for tuition for people who might be in a certain zip code or might be, you know, in a certain demographic. Although that's a little bit trickier because it's never really guaranteed. And it changes kind of depending on who's giving the gift, but Michigan Works is kind of our go-to as far as getting funded. It's what you do is you'll go to Michigan Works, you'll sign up with them, and you'll actually meet with a career counselor, and they will ask, you know, which program are you interested in? You can tell them our program at ISAIC. We're running a couple classes. Our next class is May 2nd, but we also have one June to August. We also have one August to October, I think, and one October to December, if I'm not mistaken. But you'll tell them what you're interested in. There might be some testing that goes along with it. We do require the CASAS test, which is math and reading. And I believe it's a 6th grade math level and an 8th grade reading level. After that's complete, generally they'll go put you through the Michigan Work system and give you a funding determination, which is either yes or no. If it's a no, that's not the end of the road. What you can do is, you know, wait for private funding to be available. And part of what I do is try to match students who are interested who might get turned down for Michigan Works for any variety of reasons to secure private funding. So there's options.
Okay, good deal. You guys, do you have any questions for Katie? You all have the ability to unmute and speak, or if you want, you can just type in the chat.
I'd like to say, Katie, thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited about what you guys are doing. I watched some of your videos on YouTube last night, what you're doing for the city of Detroit, the whole sustainability, reducing your carbon footprint, assisting the community, you know, bringing people, you know, from homelessness to employment. It's just so fantastic. You know, I'm just so excited that, you know, so beautiful. I hope that everybody who's attending when Katie's done today, if you jump onto YouTube and just, you know, just see some of the fun stuff that they've presented there. I think you'd be really excited about this. And I know some of my kids are in this conversation today. That I really want to underscore the crossover ability, you know, learning just textile manufacturing. If you receive the training this corporation is offering you, whether you stay with them or not, the sky's the limit. You could go so many places with this. It's a really exciting opportunity, and $3,500 might sound like a lot, but that's not even 1/5 of the cost of, you know, a regular 1-year tuition at a college. So this is a huge bargain, and I really would encourage everybody to please look into it.
Also,
so much.
I also want to reiterate that they are a Michigan Works funded program, and 80% of our students qualify for that grant. So it probably will not cost them anything to enroll and participate.
Correct, especially if you're interested in an apprenticeship afterwards. That's really, you know, the golden ticket. People, they really want to, are interested in the jobs placement and filling the jobs that exist, because a lot of them do. And thank you guys so much for being excited. I am also excited. I've worked in this industry for 15 years maybe, and you know, I did start off in a very, I'm not going to say a sweatshop because that's not nice and they're still in existence, but not a very nice place. So to be able to make a difference and have this opportunity for, you know, coming out of high school, I would have gone to ISAIC if I would have been able to just sew instead of going to school for theater and pursuing costume design. So it's really important that this is here, because like James said, even if you don't want to pursue it, you get that skill to keep with you for life. And there are always jobs for people sewing, even if it's, you know, dry cleaning is actually a huge, that's one of the bigger paying jobs as well. But if you can repair and do small alterations, like that's, you know, you can always fall back on that. So, and again, it's very inclusive. So people with disabilities, as long as you have a good mechanic and you're able to like source the right parts, you can, I went to school with a woman who did not have a right arm. So all we did was shift everything to the, you know, left side of the sewing machine. But it's really great. It's very inclusive, and it's an exciting time to be part of this industry because more people are becoming aware that, you know, it has to change and it needs to change, and it's a little bit more open to, which is not historically the way it has been. So it's a very exciting time.
Katie,
I see, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, what is the salary range students can expect to earn once they go through the program?
That's a good question. So for the apprenticeship part of the portion, we start at $12 an hour and go up from there. Everything is based on a skills matrix. So we don't, you know, arbitrarily pull these numbers. What we're counting and looking at is how many machines can you handle? What is your proficiency at these processes? What can you sew? Things like that. So it's all based on skills, which is great for cross-training too. And the course goes, I see in the questions, there is how often does the course start? We run them about every 6 weeks. What I will do is I'll put a link to our ISAIC calendar here, down here in the box for you guys, so you can go and check it out if you would like. And that has all of our upcoming classes as well as an application for our program.
You guys got any more questions for Katie?
Thank you all so much.
All right, well then we will bring this presentation to a close. Katie, awesome presentation. It was a pleasure having you here. You have such an awesome program, and I will be more than happy to direct our students your way for those that are interested in careers in industrial sewing, because it's an awesome opportunity and a very lucrative pathway for them.
Absolutely. And ISAIC's open. We do tours. We do open houses. So if you guys are ever interested and just want to know more, feel free to come to an open house and come see the factory. So thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Good deal. Thank you, Katie. Thank you guys for joining, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Guys.
Bye, you guys.